Hey gang, it's Ruben. Welcome back to my channel. So I want to do a vlog update because I wanted to share my personal thoughts about the passing of Tim Keller. Tim Keller recently passed away at the age of 72. Tim Keller was the founding pastor of Redeemer Presbyterian Church out of New York City. He also founded the Gospel in Life Ministry and co-founded the Gospel Coalition. And Tim Keller is a very well-known public speaker. He's a well-known author, published several books. And after several decades of being a lead pastor, he has a lot of sermons that are available to check out for free. I know that listening to his sermons has been very helpful to me as my walk as a Christian. He's what I would call a teaching pastor. And look, Tim doesn't come without controversy. There are those on the left who would say he didn't take enough of a stance on social justice issues, and those on the right that would say he didn't take enough of a stance for more conservative right-leaning issues. But that said, I think most people would agree that he is a fantastic speaker. So I'll share an interesting story too, because I think Tim Keller does a fantastic job of conveying how to keep our eyes fixed on Christ, which in today's world is probably the most important thing as a Christian. It's very easy in today's world to drift towards worldly issues, no matter where you are in the world. And here in America, it's very easy to either take a left-leaning progressive stance or a right-leaning conservative stance. And I believe the only correct stance to take as a Christian is to take a Christ-centered stance and keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. Well, anyway, there was a season in my life where I was definitely drifting pretty far into worldly conservative thinking. And in this sermon, and I wish I could remember what it was, but that aside, let me just get to the point. He was covering the topic about whether you should lean left or right, actually. And one thing that I found quite interesting is this particular part, which will always stick with me, where he essentially came across saying, you can read some particular passages in the New Testament and walk away going, wow, how can you read this and not be a conservative? And then there are other teachings of Jesus that when you read those passages, there are those who are liberal progressives who will say, how can you read this and not be a liberal progressive? And I just found that so amazing because it is very easy to have bias when you're reading anything. Definitely the Bible. The Bible has been weaponized too many times, which is a very sad thing in our culture today. And that sermon always stuck with me because it really had me take a pause, take a breath and go, wow, I never really thought of it this way. And thankfully, in conjunction with my own local pastor who consistently tells us to keep our eyes fixed on Jesus, I have made it a point to think less about worldly stances, think less about right or left leaning issues, and think about how can I love one another as Jesus calls us to. How can you love your neighbor as yourself? How can I be more outwardly loving towards strangers and neighbors and even my enemies, and just not be selfish? I think at the heart of it, that's how we should try to walk as Christians. And I got a lot of that nourishment and a lot of that message in many, many, many of Tim Keller's sermons. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. I'll have some links in the description on how to check out his content. If you've never listened to Tim Keller before, I would highly recommend doing so. I found his teachings very nourishing to my spirit, and I hope the same happens for you as well. And for his family who are mourning his loss, may God bring comfort to them during this season. God bless you guys.